After a few months of the endless demo we got our hands on, Diplomacy is Not an Option finally released into early access on Steam, bringing in a new era of Horde-based games, defending settlements and cities from the oncoming peasants that are opposed to your being there. So, after playing the game, I thought I would give my full review on the title, because spoiler alert, I love this thing. But there's a big problem. The demo that we got our hands on a while ago gave us the endless Horde mode as mentioned, playing pretty much until you die, letting you get your hands dirty with some smaller initial gameplay all the way up to the bigger battles against the mightiest of bandit invaders. Now though, the campaign has reared its beautiful head, giving a new experience with, well, a basic form of storyline. The cutscenes are pretty entertaining and they look beautiful, much like the graphic style that the developers have gone for. The loose storyline ties in the map that you seem to be conquering, offering order and peace in a world of chaos. I mean, we can't let the peasants run themselves, can we? It may seem violent at first, but they will understand once we roll over them. Most of it, though, is just a chain to link each map and mission together, having varying challenges and difficulties throughout, and boy, is this game difficult. I spent a good 3 or 4 goes just getting past that first level. Okay, yes, I was inexperienced at the time, but still. Yet whilst I didn't know at this point in my early stages of gameplay, my joy would soon turn into disappointment. Very, very soon. Despite this, loading in, you start with a keep, some population, and a couple of builders. You want to start with lumber camps, costing no resources, only population. Then, a few fisherman huts or berry picker cabins will get the food started, and a stone mine if you can afford it. However, stone isn't paramount immediately, but you're going to want to have a stockpile ready for a little later. Granaries and storage blocks can be placed down so villagers can have less distance to travel whilst dropping off resources. Additionally, builders' houses can be put down to turn more civilians and laborers into builders themselves. As a little tip for the first few missions, you want to start with maybe 1 early game, but by the end of the mission, you kind of want to have 4 or 5 level 2 builders' huts, just to have a sufficient amount of guys to do those quick repairs when your walls come tumbling down. But how do you get more population, you may ask? Well, build houses, of course. Every morning they will spawn a couple more lads to keep your city growing. But make sure you keep an eye on the food, because as the population grows, the food is going to be eaten, and you don't want people to starve. That would kind of be unfortunate. Speaking of dying, cemeteries can be made to pick up any dead bodies so your people don't wander around and get incredibly sick, and trust me, the Ebola will spread if you're not careful. Once you have your basic resources set up though, you will notice some bandit camps are scattered around. I recommend putting up a few watchtowers just to get that better plane of view. Use the initial troops that you've been given to start prodding at these bandit camps. You want to clear out as many of them as possible before the final wave, because if you're not careful, they will join in with the massive horde and make your life hell. Killing them and destroying the buildings will gain you resources and blue crystals that drop onto the floor. These can be picked up and used for spells later. The first wave is coming though, yet I would say this initial one, and maybe even to some extent the second wave, can be fought off with the troops that you've already gained at the beginning, depending on the difficulty you're playing at. Maybe bolster the archers a little bit by building a barracks where you can get swordsmen and archers to start with, but these first few waves are fairly easy. Yet as you start to gain more and more resources, you're going to want to start looking at walls, and fast. When it comes to defenses, wood is good, but stone is better. These can also, like many things in the game, be buffed or upgraded through the research tree, something that's pretty cool, but honestly, I didn't actually focus enough time on because I was panicking about getting invaded from every direction. Once enough resources are collected, you can start to upgrade your town center, giving way to iron mines, also letting you upgrade barracks to produce spearmen and crossbows, and boost the gathering abilities of resource points such as mines by upgrading them to level 2. You can also now get farms, which are a must as you're constantly going to be running out of food, and make sure you've got plenty of high level granaries to maximize your food storage, because every morning the population will be spawning from those houses no matter what, so you better have the food to cope with it. Finally, build a market to trade resources for other resources, or more importantly, for gold. This can be used for the level 3 buildings. Using it to upgrade your town center once again, you can now start looking at better troops, building types, and of course more siege weaponry once all the buildings are leveled up to the respective level. There are also some less important but still useful buildings, such as taverns that can be placed around near buildings to lower the food consumption of the people living there. Fountains can also give a +2 population to every house nearby, or even obelisks that will unlock spells, as we'll get onto. But this is where the good bit comes in, the combat. You start off with the basic swordsman, bowman, and a catapult, at least in the regular games. Your troops will normally be more powerful than the enemies that are coming at you at the beginning, but numbers will soon start to play a big part. So you want to start recruiting, but be aware, this uses up food, and of course, that population that is so important at the beginning of your games. Bowmen are great to get early game, a bit cheaper and great for thinning out the herds. A few swordsmen are needed, but not too many, just to tie down the bandits, whilst your catapult and bowmen send them flying. At level 2, spearmen are good for holding the line, and crossbowmen are perhaps my favourite. Level 3, you can get ballistas, trebuchets, and cavalry, and these big hammer boys as well. Although the early missions that you play in the campaign will rarely need you to get that far along the level up trees. Often, it's probably worth putting those resources into more crossbowmen or spearmen rather than trying to get the best troops in the game. But it isn't just the troops that get the last say. You also have the aforementioned spells. Building obelisks lets you use the crystals that you farmed from bandit camps to do some pretty cool things. Summoning up a temporary fighting force from the heavens, using a laser beam to slice through a mass of troops, healing all your men, or even bringing down a meteor from the sky to do the biggest AoE attack that you've ever seen. And my god, if you thought catapults hitting groups of troops was satisfying, wait till you see this. So it sounds pretty good. But there's something that I've kind of left hanging over this video. I mentioned that there was an issue. Well, here we are. I love diplomacy as not an option. I think it's a fantastic game, but there are a couple of issues. First of all, some minor nitpicks. Troops can get stuck quite often, actually. Not just friendly ones, but also enemies. At the end of some games, the enemy could just be stuck on something and you'd have to go out and find them and comb through the whole map just to finish that mission. But that's not really the big issue. Those can be patched later on. This is where it really starts to become a weird one for me. I did the first 2 missions and genuinely I adored it. But then, that was it. Wait for more updates?
I'm sorry? What?
And it's such a shame, because I was having a ball of a time, and to be left on red like that by something I loved so much made me feel like I had to go and sell my 3rd kid to fund my gambling addiction again. I get it, it's early access, I completely understand what they're going for here, but 2 missions? Kind of just a bit of a shame. Does it mean I like the game any less? Of course not, but it is kind of disappointing. It feels like it's not quite just enough, and this leaves me torn. Yes, you still have that endless mode, but I really don't know if at this point in time there's enough content just yet for that £20 that you're paying for it, especially when the demo gave you that endless horde mode anyway, so that £20 is for 2 missions, and that's it. So look, it's early access, so what you're looking at here is more of an investment. You're helping to support this smallish development team so more stuff can come out. So as long as you're aware that that's the experience you're getting, I couldn't recommend this more. The gameplay itself is addicting as hell. The potential is endless. But yeah, this is by no means a complete game, and if that's what you're looking for, I actually don't think I can recommend it. At least just not yet. But I will be back in the future when there's more to do, more to see, and more zombie peasants to slaughter by the thousands. Because as the name suggests, diplomacy is not an option.